here, but I got to put the injection lines, hook them back up because I put the pump on yesterday, but we got in the midst of doing some other stuff and I didn't get to finish putting the lines on it, so I'm going to work on that now. So, it's very highly accessible with this loader on. It really wasn't too bad, it's just kind of aggravating. That rascal's going to be a tough one to whir up in there. There you go. Let's try this way. There she be, by golly. I think. Anyway, one time, it was in Sunday school. I was in my late teens. I have no idea why, but this part of the lesson was, the teacher asked, you know, to rate what kind of physical condition you're in on a scale of 1 to 10. You know, of course I very humbly said 11. You know, and that was kind of attitude that carried through, and it wasn't far off, probably, but that kind of attitude can get you in trouble. It kind of carried over into my young adult years, and I think God likes to mess with you sometimes. If He sees something that is starting to be a problem, if He thinks you get a little too proud and haughty, I think He enjoys messing with you a little bit. I think He enjoys bringing you down a notch, giving you a dose of reality and humility. One of the things we used to say when we were done with the tobacco season and we just felt like supermen, that we would put ourselves up against any professional athlete anywhere. We didn't care. We were in just as good a physical condition as them, and you know, can't see how they could be in any better physical shape than us. You know, I guess more so I was saying I would put myself up against any physical and any professional athlete. I'm sure God got tired of hearing about that. But I could make that plain with impunity, because let's face it, it ain't likely I'm ever going to be put up head to head in competition with any kind of professional athlete. I mean, how would that happen? I'm not in athletic competition at all, and don't get too many of them down here on the farm knocking on your door saying, hey, I wanted a good workout, let's go head to head, you know. So, but God is God. He can do things. I had a cousin live down the road about a mile and a half from us. It was a girl cousin. She was my aunt's daughter. She was a very attractive girl. She was a couple of years older than me, and had raven black hair, you know, brown eyes, very dark complexion, skin. Just she really looked kind of like she could have some Native American Indian blood in her. I don't think she did, but she had just the kind of skin that gets nice and tan, you know, and she was a very attractive young woman. Anyhow, she loved horses. She had some horses. She was a horse doctor, and she kept horses down her place, and she would get hay from us because, let's face it, we just have the best hay around, you know. Oh, is that prideful? I better watch myself. Anyway, she would get the hay from us, so she said, hey, look, can you bring a couple wagon loads over, which would be around 280, 300 bales, because I got some help. And he said, okay. Now, inwardly, I was groaning. He said, oh, man, she's got help. She's got help. Yeah. I said, okay. Well, usually when somebody says they got help to put hay up, it just means there's just one more warm body in your way that you got to walk around, and that'll mess things up and slow things down for you. That's what it generally means. It makes you work a little harder. It ain't worth much when people say they got help. But anyway, we went on down there with our 2 loads, and I was trying to have a right attitude about it. And it turned out that her friend, her help, just happened to be a 6'7" blonde lineman for the Baltimore Ravens football team. And he probably weighed about 280, nothing but muscle. I mean, I don't remember his name or what position. I just called him Thor. You know, the old, from Norse mythology, the god of thunder, Thor. I mean, that's what he looked like. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is a professional athlete here. And real quick editorial note here. I'm sorry about the helicopter noise that you're going to be hearing. You might be wondering, why don't he stop and film later after the helicopter goes? We live real close to Andrews Air Force Base, and there's always fighter jets and helicopters flying over here so much that we don't even hear them. It doesn't even register consciously that until I watch what I've taped, that's the first time I hear about it. So I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Please forgive me. Anyhow, we now return to our already scheduled programming. Thank you. Where she had to put the hay was up in a loft, and even when we pulled the wagon up there, standing on the wagon, the door was still above my head that we had to throw this hay up in. She didn't have no elevator. So we had to throw the hay up in there, which was above my head, but for Thor, I believe if he stood tall enough, he could probably see the floor from where he was. And my dad and my cousin were up there going to stack the hay. She was going to pull the bales on back, and Dad was going to stack it up in the loft. And luckily it wasn't real hot there in the morning, Saturday morning. And me and Thor were going to throw the bales up there. So we had to stand on the front corner of the wagon, throw them up through that hole. And God is thinking, here's your professional athlete. He's playing your game. It ain't his game. You got the advantage. You're chucking hay bales. You wanted to go up head to head against a professional athlete. Try him on for size. And I'm thinking, God, you could have got somebody that was a little more my size. You know, I'm thinking more like track and field guy. You know, maybe somebody in a decathlon. Because I guess I was lucky that there wasn't no professional wrestlers in the area that could have come down. I didn't want to be going up against Hulk Hogan or something. But this guy, he wasn't much smaller than Hulk Hogan. Anyhow, we were chunking bales up in there. He was throwing them up in there like they were beach balls. He'd throw one, I'd throw one. He'd throw one, I'd throw one. And it wasn't quite as easy for me to get him up. I mean, I can get him up there. That was no problem. But keeping pace with this fella was, I could do it, but I wouldn't want to go no faster. And well, time I chunked up about 75 or 80 bales, my body started to feel like it may be contracting some early onset rigor mortis. But I wasn't about to slow down, so I was doing my best It was tough too, because I wasn't going to let him see me breaking a sweat or anything. I couldn't even grunt when I was throwing him in there. I wasn't even going to allow myself to grunt. I just silent grunts. Didn't want him to be able to see that it was throwing them 50-pound bales up there was starting to wear on me a little bit. But we got the first load done, pulled the other one up there, and I was very thankful that we had that couple-minute rest. Got a drink, jumped right back on it, and we got through. And I was able to keep up with him, but I mean just able to keep up with him. But I could keep up with him and still be on my 2 feet and still felt like I could feel my arm. And shook hands with him and pleased to meet you, you know, come on back next time. We'll do it again. But and it worked to humble me. I stayed humble for a while. I think for almost the entire 1.5 mile ride home, I was a humble guy. But young men being what they are and testosterone flowing through your veins, you start thinking, you know what? I hung right with him. That was a professional athlete, and I hung right with him. Of course, I don't know what was going through his mind. Probably nothing. He was holding a conversation the whole time with my dad. So, but God will mess with you sometimes. It brings a situation along to try to teach you some humility, and I did realize that no matter how good a physical shape you are in, there's always going to be somebody that's bigger and stronger and can do more than you. And you know, but let's face it, I have so many other things going for me. You know, I'm kind of the all-around package. You know, talented mechanic, great banjo player, good-looking fella. No, not really. Little dirt farmer humor there. But so anyhow, you start getting prideful about some things. One of these times, God could just get tired of hearing you think that and throw something in your face like He did me that time. And it's just fun to look back on, and it was a great opportunity, and really enjoyed it. I don't want it to happen again, though. I really don't. But anyway, all right, just thought you might enjoy that little story. Like I say, it ain't really anything but a story. But I got to put these lines on here. We need to use this tractor. So quit bothering me, will you? Let me get back to work. Quit bugging me. See ya.